Hi, I'm Kyle with 5 Minute Guide, and today I am going to show you how to make the mountain behind Tony Stark's house. I know it doesn't sound very exciting, but it's going to help us kind of visualize where this, piece really fits in with the house and everything. So, first thing we're going to do is we have the model already set up that we made previously. If you don't have this one yet, follow the previous tutorials to get to this stage. So what we're going to do is we're going to deselect everything, so nothing in the scene is selected, and we're going to add a mesh, add a cube. All right, and we'll just pull it off to the side here a little bit, just so we can kind of separate it a little bit. All right, and then we're going to go down to we're actually going to tab to go to edit mode, face select, and we're going to select top two faces, and the two sides. And what we're going to do is delete those. So hit X, delete the faces, and then we're going to go to vertice select, and let's actually zoom out here just a little bit. Actually scan down. There we go. All right, so what we're going to do is select these three vertices here on this corner, and facing the cube you want to hit F, and it'll create a face. Now what the faces do is they're actually invisible one way, so you always want to be facing the direction that you want the solid to be on. So this side right here is solid, but this side is going to be transparent. Okay, just so you know, and there's ways to change that, and I'll get into that in another tutorial. So we're going to select these three vertices here, and then we're just going to make sure that we're on this side, hit F for face, and then the last four vertices, select those, hit face as well. Now we're going to hit W and then subdivide, and we're going to do that 3 times. So we have a bunch of squares here. Then we're going to hit A twice to deselect and then select everything in the scene, in this portion. And we're going to scale it, so S, and then on the X, and we're going to scale that up a little bit. Okay. Now we're going to take, and with vertices still selected, we're going to take individual vertices and we're just going to move them slightly here and there, kind of tweak them a bit, and just kind of overall mess with them. This is kind of just a generic way to make a 3-dimensional looking landscape of sorts. It's not necessarily the best way, but it is definitely probably the quickest. And you can do multiples too. So you can select, multiple different pieces that you want the same height and, the same differences and whatnot, and move those. But this is just kind of a quick way to give you a rough look at what this may look like after when you're done. Okay, so we kind of get that. It looks kind of like a steep hillside ish, not really at all, but it gives it a little bit more depth and texture. Okay, so go back into object mode. One thing you probably noticed is that when I'm moving objects around, like the whole object itself, I'm going into object mode, and that's because if you have it selected and you're in edit mode and you start moving it, you notice this little orange dot here, it doesn't move with it. That's your center point. You want that to always be in your center. So we're gonna change that. Okay, so we're gonna go back to object mode. Sorry, I just Apple Z'd all that, so it didn't actually affect it. So in object mode, we're going to grab this and slide it over behind Tony Stark's house here, and kind of line it up with how we want it to fit into our scene. Now, actually, I usually have a picture on the side opened up to this one, but I actually don't right now. But I think it's pretty similar to this. It's probably a little bit lower. Something kind of like that. But yeah, so there we go. Now I'm also going to show you a quick little thing before we finish up here. how to move your camera and render out your scene. So first thing we're going to do is hit 1, so we're looking face forward onto our object. We select the camera, we bring it over and down to about where we want it, and then you can hit 0 on the numpad, hit R for rotate, and we're going to rotate on the Z axis, and that'll get us to face the object. And then we're going to rotate on the X axis, and that will get us up to our object. And then rotate on the Y just to level it out a little bit. Okay, so that's what we have. And we can, bring that in, a little bit if we want to or whatever. And you can do it in here too. You can say G for grab and then on the Y, and you can bring it in and out and all over sorts of stuff. Alright, and so now what you can do, we can test this, see what it looks like. We can go to render image, and it's all dark over here. So what we want to do is escape out of there, and we'll zoom out a little bit. And this light is the only light in the scene, so what we can do is we can bring in new lights and we can do all sorts of stuff. I'm just going to do a quick thing. I'm going to hit Shift D to duplicate it, and then I'm going to bring a light over here, and then I'm going to Shift D to duplicate that one. I'm going to bring this one over here, probably behind the camera, like so. And then let's render that out and see what that looks like. Yeah, that's a little bit better. You still get some dark shadows and whatnot. We can probably bring the one behind the camera down a little bit. And there, that cleared up a lot of those dark shadows. And we still have some decent shadowing, but it's not as overpowering as it was. So that kind of allows you to render it out and see what it looks like on your landscape and everything. So yeah, what the final product is gonna end up looking. Now, there are tons more things you can do with lights, and I'll get into those at a later date. But right now, we're just gonna use basic, standard lighting to render out our image. So that was, just getting a backdrop more or less, so we can see where this house is actually sitting on this hill. And let's see, in the next one we will probably do some UV mapping. I'll probably get some UV mapping here on the hillside and get some concrete and glass maybe going on the building itself. Alright, that's been Kyle with 5-Minute Guide. I hope you found this tutorial useful. If you did, then please subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment area below.